They say Brina began to hum again. Not the tune Elric used to hum, the one no one else could name. This was different, slower, softer, a lullaby meant for something not quite asleep. The village noticed. Old Edda from the herb shop stopped her one morning and asked, "What's that song you're always humming?" Brina didn't answer, not because she didn't want to, but because she hadn't realized she was humming at all. The hill had stayed quiet for weeks. The fog came and went, and the wind still curled strangely some mornings. But the bridge had not returned. Brina didn't wait the way she used to. She didn't sit near the wild clover or scan the sky at dusk. She just listened. And that was how she knew something had changed, because the silence was no longer empty. It was blooming. The first name came in a dream, not hers. She woke to find her journal open, a fresh page half filled in uneven handwriting, a name she didn't recognize, letters still damp. Kyle. Nothing else. But when she whispered it aloud, the page warmed under her hand. And somewhere far off, the fog stirred. The next day, a child Brina didn't know approached her at the well. A girl, maybe 6 or 7, pale, curious, the kind of child who notices things others ignore. She looked up and said, "He's humming it too." Then she skipped away. Brina didn't ask who he was, because she already knew. That night, she walked past the blackberry field and stood in the tall grass, watching the hill. She didn't expect the bridge. She was listening for the hum, and it came, low, deep, not from the trees or the wind, from beneath her feet. A sound like roots shifting, like old wood breathing, like something remembering how to speak. And with it came the feeling. The one from the spiral, from the chamber of mirrors. Something vast was reaching up. 3 nights later, the bridge returned. It looked the same, weathered wood, stone footings, the faded sign. But Brina had learned by now, appearance meant nothing. She stepped onto it. It did not creak, did not groan. It accepted her, as if the bridge had begun to recognize her footsteps. The other side felt stiller than usual. The trees stood taller. The sky didn't shift. Even the fog seemed unsure of itself. Brina walked, slowly, quietly, and after some time she found Elric. He sat beside a pond she hadn't seen before, perfectly still, no ripples, no sound. But in its reflection, trees that weren't there, faces she didn't recognize. He didn't look up when she approached. "You've been listening," he said. Brina nodded. "They're blooming." He gestured to the pond. Names began to rise in the reflection, not floating on the water, but within it. Kale, Lina, Harlow, Brina. She pointed to her own name. "Why me again?" Elric didn't smile, just watched the water. "Because your name has roots now." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the pond breathe. Then Brina asked, "What happens when too many names bloom?" Elric didn't answer right away. Then he said, "The bridge isn't the only thing that can open." They walked, deeper than before, past trees that no longer whispered. They resonated. Their bark vibrated softly like glass under song. And around their bases, new stones had grown, glowing, green, familiar. Brina crouched beside one. It pulsed faintly beneath her fingers. Not a warning, not a message, a question. She stood. "More are coming," she said. Elric nodded. "Some already have, just not fully." Back in Nettlescloff, the village began to change. It didn't happen all at once. A boy recited a phrase in his sleep that made the wind outside shift direction. A seamstress dreamt of fire and woke to find soot on her hands. And the church bell, untouched for decades, rang once at midnight, then stopped. No one had touched the rope. Brina stayed calm. She stopped humming, but not because the tune had faded, because she was trying to hear the notes beneath it. One morning, a note appeared at her doorstep, folded once, unmarked. Inside, 2 names hummed in unison. One of them is yours. No signature, no explanation, but she knew where it came from. That evening, Elric returned. He stood at her gate, holding a cloth-wrapped bundle. Inside, a page, not from his notebook. This one was thicker, darker, and shimmered faintly in the firelight. It had one sentence written on it in a script that shifted while you looked at it. When the silence speaks, do not answer first. What does it mean? Brina asked. Elric met her gaze. It means we have to go back. To the chamber? He nodded. To the base. They crossed the bridge the next morning. Fog low, sky muted, trees still. They said nothing as they walked. And when they reached the spiral, they descended. Each step echoed longer than the last. The air grew heavy. Not with pressure, with expectation. At the bottom, the chamber had changed. The pool was still there, but it was no longer black. It glowed green now, the same green as the stones, the same green as the names. Inside it, not reflections, but letters. Names, thousands, layered, tangled, drifting like silt in water. Brina stepped close, and this time she could read them. Kyle, Lina, Brina, 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 Brina. Each version spelled differently, tilted, split. Some looked unfinished. Others felt wrong. She turned to Elric. What are they? Roots, he said. Possible ones, some still growing. And the ones that bloom? He didn't answer. Because the walls had begun to hum. The same sound from the field, the same hum from the base of the stones, but now louder, layered, and from within it, a name. Not one either of them recognized, not heard, felt. A name that pressed against the inside of the skull like a too bright memory. Brina stepped back. It's speaking. Elric nodded. It's not calling for help, it's calling for home. The hum grew stronger. The chamber shook. The pool swirled, not violently, but deliberately. And in its center, one name began to rise. A name no one had ever spoken. And yet, Brina knew it. Not because she'd read it, because it had read her. She turned to Elric. What do we do? He took her hand. His palm was warm, steady. And he said, we wait. Because when the silence blooms, it doesn't ask for noise. It asks for witness. And Brina understood then. This was not a place of answers. It was a place of echoes. And some names echo back louder than they were ever spoken.